There are days when missing someone feels like a dull ache you can carry. And there are days where it feels like standing at a locked door, pounding on it with empty hands, whispering the same impossible wish. I wish heaven had visiting hours. Even if you don't know exactly what you believe about heaven, the wish is the same. You wish there was some place you could go, some place with opening times and an address. Some place you could write in your calendar like a normal appointment. Tuesday, 4 p.m., visit them. You picture it sometimes, without telling anyone. A reception desk in the clouds, a waiting room where everyone is clutching flowers and memories, a quiet bell that rings when it's your turn. You walking down a corridor to a room where somehow they are. Not as a faded voice in your head, not as a photo on a screen, not as a dream that disappears the second you wake up. Here, sitting, looking up, smiling that exact smile you've been trying not to forget. At Christmas, this longing gets louder. You see families reunited in airports, students coming home, children running into grandparents' arms, partners stepping through doors with bags and laughter and cold air in their hair. The world is full of visiting hours. People arrive, stay, and leave again. They say, "It's so good to see you," and "When are you heading back?" They hug at train stations and promise to call. You watch or you scroll past videos, and that small, sharp thought flashes across your mind. If heaven had visiting hours, I'd be there more than anywhere else. Because it's not just that you miss them, it's that you have things to say. You have questions you didn't know you'd ever have to ask. You have updates they never got to hear. You have apologies that arrived too late. You have stories that would have made them laugh. You imagine sitting across from them at a little table in some surreal cafe between worlds. You with your earthly problems and your aging body and your phone still buzzing in your pocket. Them with their timeless calm, maybe, or maybe exactly how they were when they left. You would say, "You will not believe what happened after you died." You would say, "You should see how much they've grown." You would say, "I'm sorry for the last thing I said." You would say, "Look, I'm trying. I'm really trying." You might also say nothing for a while. Just sit there and look at their face. Watch their hands move the way you remember. Get drunk on the simple fact that their eyes are on you and not on a memory. Psychology has phrases for part of what you're feeling. Continuing bonds, unfinished business, complicated grief. None of those capture the simple, aching sentence your heart keeps repeating. I want an hour with you. Just one. You don't need a miracle, you tell yourself. You just want a visit. Your mind builds details. Would you get to book the time? Would you be allowed to bring someone, or would it be one-on-one? Would they know everything that has happened, or would you have to catch them up? Would you be allowed to touch them? Would their hug still feel the same? You imagine the things you'd bring, photos, questions you've written down, a list of names you want them to watch over, maybe even something small and stupid they used to like, chocolates, a brand of biscuits, a joke printed out on paper. You imagine them teasing you for over-preparing, just like they used to. At Christmas, the fantasy gets even more specific. What if the visiting room was decorated? What if they could hear the carols? What if you could sit beside them for an hour and listen to them talk about the Christmases before you were born, the ones you never heard about? What if you could ask all the things you didn't ask when they were alive because you thought there would always be another time? How did you cope when you were my age? Were you ever as scared as I am now? What did Christmas feel like for you the year you lost someone? Do you know how much I miss you? You imagine stepping back into your own life afterwards, glowing and wrecked, people asking, "How was it?" and you not having words big enough. Sometimes, if you let yourself think about it too long, the wish becomes almost dangerous, because reality cannot compete with a door you've built in your mind that opens to them. So you rein it in. You turn your attention back to the small human tasks of the season: shopping, cooking, cleaning, wrapping, working, pretending you're okay. But the wish doesn't vanish. It sits just under the surface, especially when the room is finally quiet. I wish I could go see you. Wishing heaven had visiting hours is, in some ways, your heart's way of telling you that the relationship didn't end when their heart stopped. You are still in relationship with them. You still reference them in decisions. You still hear their voice making comments in your head. You still measure yourself against who you were when they were here. The problem is, the relationship has become one-sided. You speak, they don't answer. You ask, silence. You reach, nothing solid meets your hands. So your mind tries to fix the imbalance with a simple system it understands. Visits. Just like you would visit someone in hospital. Just like you would visit someone in another country. Just like you would visit someone in prison. Strange, isn't it, how human beings instinctively imagine heaven with bureaucracy. Waiting lists, schedules, doors, limitations. Because even in your fantasy, you know you'd never want to leave. If heaven really had visiting hours, they'd probably have to pry you away at closing time. You can almost hear the announcement, visiting hours are now over. Please say your goodbyes. That sentence alone is enough to make your stomach twist. You've done that goodbye once. The thought of doing it every week is unbearable. So in a way, the impossibility of visiting is both torture and protection. It forces you to live with the fact that there will be no new real-time conversations, no new inside jokes, no new hugs. It forces you to find ways of visiting that don't involve doors opening in the sky. And that part feels unfair, because what you get instead of visiting hours is what? Talking to the air? Lighting a candle and whispering their name? Sitting by their grave in the cold and hoping something of them lingers there? Looking at their photo until your eyes burn? You might feel silly sometimes. Talking to someone who isn't physically there. Updating them out loud on your day. Telling them how angry or lost or tired you are. But if heaven did have visiting hours, that's exactly what you would do. You'd sit and talk and vent and confess. So you do it anyway, without the visible body. From the outside, it may look like you're talking to yourself. From the inside, it feels like the closest thing you have to a visit. At Christmas, graveyards are suddenly full of decorations, wreaths, candles, ornaments hung on small trees stuck into the cold ground, notes pinned in plastic sleeves. It's a strange echo of the living celebrations. Trees inside, lights outside. Trees outside, lights in the dark ground. These are the rituals we invent when there is no visiting room. These are our makeshift appointments. I can't go to you in heaven, so I'll go to the place where your body rests. I'll stand here in the cold and talk to you anyway. Some days that helps. Some days it just reminds you more sharply that the person you want is not under the stone. You might look up at the sky because that's where we were taught heaven is, as if coordinates could solve this. You might trace constellations and think, are you somewhere out there? Can you see me? Do you know it's Christmas? The truth is, no one alive can tell you how any of this works. People have beliefs, teachings, images, but no proof. So you are left with two things, your longing, your love. Wishing heaven had visiting hours is another way of saying, my love didn't end when your life did. I still want to share myself with you. I still want to hear you. I still want to feel like I can come to you. Psychology might suggest you write them letters, talk to them in your mind, create rituals that give form to this ongoing bond. It won't feel like enough, because it isn't. Not compared to the fantasy of an actual hour. But it can be something. You could, for example, give yourself a visiting hour, even if heaven doesn't. Not with clouds and doors. With time and attention, you choose a time. You sit somewhere quiet, on your bed, on their chair, by the tree, at the cemetery, on a bench. You put your phone away. You imagine as clearly as you can that this time is for them. You talk, or think, or cry, or sit in silence, imagining how they'd be in the seat opposite. You might tell them, this is what this year has been like without you. This is what scares me about the future. This is what I'm proud of. That you didn't get to see. This is what I'm ashamed of, that I wish I could confess. You don't do this because they will answer in words. You do it because your relationship with them still needs space. The pain you feel when you think, "I wish heaven had visiting hours," is partly the pain of having nowhere to put your love. No arms to put it around. No ears to hear it. No eyes to meet. So it builds up in you, heavy and hot, and comes out as tears, or nightmares, or aches, or sudden waves of missing them in the middle of a supermarket aisle. A visiting hour of your own making is not a miracle, but it is a way of saying, "I will give this longing somewhere to sit," instead of pretending it doesn't exist. You might add small symbols, lighting a candle, playing a song they loved, making one of their recipes, wearing something of theirs, placing a decoration on the tree that's theirs, not because these objects connect you to them like a telephone line, but because humans need tangible things to hold on to when everything else is invisible. Wishing for visiting hours is also underneath a wish for reassurance. You don't just want to see them, you want to ask, "Are you okay? Are you at peace? Did you know how much I loved you? Did you forgive me? Are you disappointed? Are you proud?" This is the unfinished conversation your heart keeps trying to have. Some people answer it with faith. Yes, they're okay. Yes, they see you. Yes, they know. Some people answer it with uncertainty. "I hope so, but I don't know." Either way, the question doesn't entirely go away. It flares up when you're alone on a December night. Tree lights blinking, room too quiet, their absence too loud. I wish I could ask you. I wish I could see your face when you answer. It's okay that you wish for that. You are not childish. You are not weak. You are not silly for imagining impossible things. You are responding to something very real, a bond that death interrupted, not erased. If heaven really had visiting hours, would you go? Of course you would, even if it hurt more afterwards, even if saying goodbye again shredded you, even if it made the rest of life look washed out by comparison. You would go because 1 hour with them, even with the pain, would feel worth it. But in the world you actually live in, you don't get that. You get memories that fade and sharpen unpredictably. You get dreams sometimes, where they show up and you wake up both comforted and wrecked. You get other people's stories about them. You get your own heart full of things you never got to say. And you get days like Christmas, when all of it comes to the surface. If there is any mercy here, it's this. The fact that you can still wish for visiting hours means your love for them is alive. It did not freeze with their last breath. It did not end with the funeral. It did not disappear when everyone else stopped talking about them. That love has changed shape. It has less to do with phone calls and more to do with the way you live. You carry them in the decisions you make, in the way you treat people, in the stories you tell about them to anyone who will listen, in the standards you hold yourself to, in the tiny habits you kept because they came from them. No, it's not the same as a visit. It never will be. You are allowed to mourn that fact every Christmas for the rest of your life, if that's how long it hurts. You can stand at a window or in a graveyard or in the crowded room and think, "I wish I could go and see you for 1 hour." And then you can do the only thing any of us really can. Live this hour you do have as someone who loved them. Light the candle. Touch their ornament. Say their name. Tell one of their stories. Let yourself cry if you need to. Let yourself laugh if a memory makes you. You don't owe the universe a performance of being over it. You owe yourself honesty. I wish heaven had visiting hours. I miss you so much it aches. I don't understand where you are or if you can see any of this, but I am still here, and I am still carrying you with me in the only ways I know how.